Another fun night. It's kind of nice to walk around and just look at decorations and stuff. You know, strange things that I'm, personally interested in. I wouldn't consider myself to be, a conspiracy theorist or anything. Much less a believer, like a stalwart believer in the paranormal. But there are always topics that I've been curious about growing up and, into my late 20s. Of course, I'm 32 now. And I don't know, you just kind of gain a callousness towards that imaginative part of yourself. I know that, at least, personally, I don't know how it is for everybody else, but, when I was in my 20s, I did, avid ghost hunting, trying to find UFOs, trying to, discover the hidden parts of U.S. history when it comes to paranormal research and extraterrestrial activity. Things that, I guess, growing up Lutheran, but also I believe there is an underlying framework of Freemasonry in my family, in that Freemasonry doesn't necessarily require a belief in the Christian God, but they do require that you believe in something greater than yourself, at the very least, that ultimately all of us, given free will eventually answer to something that is morally more righteous than ourselves. And I think that translates well into belief in the paranormal as evidence. I think if you can believe in ghosts, if you can believe in demons or demonic possession, then how can you not believe there's a God? Because there must be a balancing force in the universe. If there are negative entities, there must be positive ones. If there's an ultimate evil, there must be an ultimate good. But even that, I think, is true in people's want to believe in extraterrestrials. Is in this spectra of possibility for sentient life, given our universe's age and our own relative species, newness, infancy, there mathematically almost must be not only one, but a multitude of civilizations whose, development has surpassed our own by leaps and bounds. They say that the universe is, I think, 13.6 billion years old, but even current science is, I think especially in the development of quantum mechanics, has proven that, at least in their own science, they don't understand how old the universe is. So, I think that scientific uncertainty, that there's always some greater boundary or horizon, it's a similar thing as belief in extraterrestrials, believing that there's civilizations more advanced than us. Similar with the concept of believing in, higher power, that ultimately our existence, or our fragile, brief existence, is but a drop in a great ocean. I think it's a defeating thought to believe that life has no meaning whatsoever, and that is just a random chance. It's just a fleeting moment, and therefore you're justified to do whatever evils you wish, because revered or not after death, it doesn't matter. Eventually you will be forgotten, so nothing matters, and just be a dick. It's I know this is just a lot of rambling to people. Some people just, it's boring. It's boring to ponder existence. It's boring to, seek truths that are not ones you already hold. It's boring nerd stuff to delve deep into, just feelings that you have that, in a realist sense, there's some things about our world around us that are evident. It's, for religion, I hear a lot of the more atheistic side, lambast religious beliefs as like, well, how could a God create a universe in which there's suffering? Why doesn't this power just solve all of our problems and make them go away? Where they try and poke holes in a sense of morality or intellectualism or anything that could develop out of pondering a greater existence, when even modern science is starting to show that there are possibilities that this universe is a mechanism of design. It's not just random chance. And even if it is just random chance, it's part of a even larger scale of creation that is impossible to fathom. Scientists talk about infinity, and people and their difficulty to conceptualize infinity, for something to literally have no end. But then mathematics introduces a concept, basically like when you were children, you're like, well, I hate you times infinity. Well, I hate you times infinity plus 1. It's a literal concept that there are an infinite order of infinite higher orders above the infinity in which we exist. So not only is infinite, it's infinite squared, it's infinite cubed. As if it wasn't already hard enough to grasp some concept of what existence even is. Even our own scientists are like, yeah, we know what we can see, but beyond that, we have no fucking clue. Like, I know they've been talking about how if you introduce a bonded pair of gluons, which is a quantum particle, into a black hole, that, especially if you were to do it in a non-sequential, or, sequential order, where one enters before the other, by basically mathematical evidence, the gluons, they would basically transmute the black hole into a foam of gluons, which gluons being the elementary particle responsible for atomic pairing. So you'd transform this thing of literal infinite mass into infinite potential, which sounds like something that could create a big bang. If you had not a black hole, not a supermassive black hole, not a hypermassive black hole, but one of the highest order magnitude black holes in the universe that exists now, and we're suddenly converted into an infinite potential, or what I believe it's by Hawking's calculations, but I think Einstein's might have alluded to it. the existence of not only black holes, but their polar opposite, white holes. It's no longer an infinite mass which consumes all mass around it. And even particles like photons, but it would be the opposite, a force of infinitely small mass that exuded basically the entirety of all existence. I think that's the nature of the Big Bang, is that it was a supermassive black hole carryover from another either parallel dimension or this dimension, which simply just restarts every time, the matter gets spread so thinly, between the lower and higher dimensions of energy that the second and the fourth dimension basically collapse in on each other and recreate the third dimension. And I like to think of it like whirlpool eddies. Eddies in a river. One will turn left, and it will, hypothetically, because eddies don't push upward, typically. There's one eddy that pulls downward, a swirling, liquid-like interaction of particles, no matter what you would define them as, quasi-particles or, traditional matter. It's a whirlpool that pulls down, de-energizes things, and forces them flatter in the second dimension. Or there's eddies that push upwards, materializing fourth dimensional matter that's hyper complex, too hyper complex to exist on a third dimensional plane without causing, confusion of perception, but also a higher order of energy. An energy so high, you could calculate all the energy output of every star in the universe and it wouldn't compare to a simple particle from the fourth dimension. It's thoughts like that. I know I sound insane. I meet people out here that they'll go on rants, and at first you're like, none of this makes any fucking sense. But then later, like me, I've always just had a curiosity. It's come from watching Star Trek as a kid. I mean, all of the Star Treks, all of Futurama, any Fifth Element, anything future related, flying cars, futuristic technology. I consumed it like a motherfucker when I was a kid. So much so, I still have a review from one of my teachers that said that I like to read math, science, and whatever all day long, and that's great, but I don't focus whatsoever on the lessons she's teaching. Because I didn't care. I don't care which president crossed which river at what point. I want to go to Mars. That's the business that I started. I was hoping to create a place where all religions and beliefs, even the ones that believe in no religion, just kind of a neutral ground where we can drop any pretense of anything other than our shared humanity. We could have discussions. We can have debate, classic debate, not who can scream louder or report us to mods, but classic debates where people could talk about topics like this. Isn't it more fascinating to discuss the nature of the universe or God's creation or how you see it than it is to say that you're curious about those things and have people immediately just shit all over you? We need more discussion. And I don't think we're moving towards that. We're moving away from it.